If you are pregnant or you've recently had a baby, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Kath Bequee, a physiotherapist working in women's health and mum of 3. Join me each week as we dive into all things pregnancy care, childbirth and postnatal recovery, helping you have a wonderful pregnancy and afterbirth experience. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Fitness Mama podcast. So here are 5 quick tips for optimal pelvic health, especially during and after pregnancy. So I know I talk a lot about pelvic floor on this podcast, but I know and I see firsthand how important it is. Pelvic health can help you stay dry, so not leak during pregnancy and after birth. Optimal pelvic health can help you to return to running or CrossFit or the gym or whatever it is, those high-impact exercises after having a baby. Optimal pelvic health can help you to have sex comfortably without discomfort. It can help, it's almost in every facet of life because it's amazing how pelvic health, sure, I'm talking about all the physical things it can affect, but these can affect our mental health. These can affect our confidence. Our pelvic health can affect our confidence as to whether or not we're going to return to the gym or run on the treadmill or play netball with our friends. So it's important. And I see what happens when women don't have optimal pelvic health, and it can have a huge impact on your life. So let's go through 5 quick tips to help you with optimal pelvic health during and after pregnancy. These are in no particular order, but I do think they're valid things to consider in your life. Okay, the first quick tip is to avoid constipation and straining on the toilet. So you might feel that these are quite unrelated, but the impact of straining, that downward pressure through the pelvic floor area, in particular when straining on the toilet, it can have a big effect. So if you do find you've got long-term constipation or long-term history of straining on the toilet, or even short-term, like don't put up with it. Go and see a doctor if you have any concerns with your bowels. But also this might be a bit of a red flag to go and have a pelvic floor assessment to see that you don't have overactive pelvic floor, but also to make sure you've got the right action of, we really do want to let go of pelvic floor muscle tension when we're opening our bowels. So we want to release any tension. This isn't a time to zip up through the pelvic floor. It's a time to relax through the pelvic floor. Right, the second quick tip is, well, I've sort of talked about it a little bit here, but full relaxation of your pelvic floor muscles is just as important as good strength. So the times to be aware of relaxing your pelvic floor muscles includes what I've just said, so when opening your bowels and going to the toilet, but also in between your pelvic floor exercise sets. So you might be doing a set of pelvic floor strengthening, and it's really important in between, or when you're relaxed, you do fully release and relax. So you might want to do some nice deep belly breathing to fully relax your pelvic floor before starting another set. And another time to be aware of fully relaxing your pelvic floor muscles, it might include when you're feeling a bit stressed and anxious. So we know that mental health or the feelings of stress and anxiety, it can impact the amount of tension in these muscles. And just like if we're feeling stressed and anxious, we might start to develop muscle tension around our neck and shoulders, and we might start to get neck pain or shoulder pain. We don't want that same sort of thing to happen in those muscles around the pelvis. So if you've had chronic pelvic pain, so endometriosis, interstitial cystitis, those sorts of long-term pain syndromes around the pelvis, you might want to definitely be aware of that ability to relax through the pelvic floor muscles, because it can also impact sexual enjoyment and pain during sex too. Okay, third quick tip. When exercising, so lifting your pelvic floor muscles, one helpful cue is to imagine you're stopping yourself from passing wind. So imagine you're in a lift with other people and you need to do a fart, but you don't want to pass wind in front of anyone else. So zip up and lift up through your pelvic floor muscles. But the key here is not to squeeze your glutes, so not to squeeze those buttock muscles, not to lift your eyebrows, not to squeeze or lift any of those external muscles of the body. This is all internal, so it should be your own little secret. No one should be able to know you're lifting your pelvic floor muscles. But I do find that cue of lifting up through your back passage as if you're trying to prevent yourself from passing wind. That's one of the most effective ways to do a good quality pelvic floor lift. Okay, quick tip number 4. So do you find you are leaking urine? So accidental leaking when you cough or sneeze or laugh or lift or run around? Or do you have prolapse symptoms? As always, if you do, please do go and seek help and have that assessment. But if you do, always make sure your bowels are functioning optimally. So have a quick think, how are your bowels? Have you had any constipation? Have you had any straining? Are they functioning well? Because if you can help to reduce any bowel symptoms, that can sometimes help to reduce symptoms of leaking, so incontinence, and also prolapse symptoms too. So they're not all separate issues. Sometimes by helping the bowels, that can actually help with the other symptoms we're experiencing. And then the 5th quick tip, the final tip, is the first thing to know is that there are 2 stages of life where we as women are more likely to have pelvic health issues. So one is pregnancy and postpartum, and then the next spike of issues occurs around pre-post menopause. So tackling our pelvic health and our strength and our core muscles, and I like to think of this as we're sort of buffering ourselves. If you've just had a baby or you're pregnant, you want to buffer yourself against the onset of future pregnancies, but also the onset of menopause. So this is the time in your life, no matter where you are, this is the time to really focus on safeguarding yourself against any potential future issues. You know that I think there's a famous Chinese proverb, don't quote me, but it's something along the lines of the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago and the second best time to plant a tree is today. Same with your pelvic health. Sure, you might have, like the number of women I see in their 50s and 60s that say, I wish I had focused more on my own recovery after having a baby. Like the number of times women have said that to me because they've been having issues in their 50s and 60s, I could not count. So there's never, we can only look forward. So don't worry about worrying about what's happened in the past, but moving forwards, what can you do to help with your body? Like your body has invested so much into growing this beautiful baby of yours, into birthing this beautiful baby, no matter if it's a vaginal or a cesarean birth. So what can you do to reinvest back into your body? And that's where my program, Fitness Mama, can really help to support you in your pregnancy health and afterbirth recovery to help set yourself up for future pregnancies and menopause and beyond. So if you'd like to join us with a free trial, just head to fitnessmama.com and the link is in the show notes. So hopefully that was helpful. 5 quick tips for optimal pelvic health. Come and join us for a free trial if you'd like to take that first step to looking after your pelvic health and your body's strength and recovery. That's it, ladies. I hope that was helpful. Come and send me a message on Instagram at fitnessmama or come and join us inside our community, www.fitnessmama.com. That's it, ladies. We will catch you next week for another episode of the Fitness Mama podcast. Thanks for listening to the Fitness Mama podcast, brought to you by the Fitness Mama freebies found at www.fitnessmama.com/free. So please take a few seconds to leave a review, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and be sure to take a screenshot of this podcast, upload it to your social media, and tag me at FitnessMama so I can give you a shout out too. Until next time, remember, an active pregnancy, confident childbirth, and strong postnatal recovery is something that you deserve. Remember our disclaimer, materials and contents in this podcast are intended as general information only and shouldn't substitute any medical advice, diagnosis or treatment. I'll see you soon.